Guru Nation? How's it going, everybody? We are here tonight, today, whenever you're listening, for the Guru Nation podcast. Y'all, we have returned. Hope y'all are ready. Know me and Josh are. How's it going, big dog?
Absolutely, man. I am so ready and so happy to be back, and I'm excited, man, because it's been a crazy 2 weeks, and I'm ready to talk about it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, we're gonna start this thing off with an early season rundown. Just kind of go over how the season's all the kind of start the season's off to, and then get into a week 3 preview. And so we'll start it off with this early season rundown. And I'd say, honestly, man, my biggest takeaway so far is just the insane amount of injuries, man. It's hard to just get the that out the way, because it's so annoying, but yet so prevalent right now. And I'm not surprised, though, because without regular preseason action, in which a lot of those early injuries happen, it was kind of inevitable that we'd see a bunch early in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean it's so weird because we were so worried about COVID in a different way. We thought so many players were going to be testing positive for COVID, and then like once one player tested positive, it was going to be a domino effect, and you were going to start seeing, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players out for COVID every week. And so far so good with COVID positive tests. We haven't had any in the NFL, which is great. We want to keep that going. But COVID kind of struck in a different way, like you said, no preseason, not even really a full training camp. And these guys are coming out there and they're doing all these cuts and these routes and everything, and they're getting hit so much, and we're seeing so many injuries, and there's no way it's a coincidence, right? It's absolutely because of COVID. It's because of the lack of the training that they had and everything, and it's very unfortunate to see a lot of these guys going down. It brings a little tear to the eye,
Yeah,
because it's hurting the fantasy teams.
Yeah, it
big time.
stinks, man. It stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, and most importantly, we wish these guys well in
Of
their
course.
rehab. But I
Of
mean,
course.
for fantasy, it's just like, damn. It's like, just imagine if you are in an auction league and spent all
Oh
your
God.
money on Christian McCaffrey and Saquon
Saquon, man.
Barkley to
God.
find out after week 2 they're both on IR. McCaffrey not season ending,
Right.
but Saquon, of course, that season ending variety, torn ACL. So we'll just get those big dominoes out the way. So they're both injured right now. McCaffrey, though, we'll be back in a few weeks. So if I'm a McCaffrey owner, I'm holding him, holding tight, just hoping I can get through these next few weeks unscathed. Don't crack, don't trade him then to a slick owner that's going to try and like lowball you.
Yep.
They're going to try to offer you like I think it's like Todd Gurley and another. They'll do a 2-for-1. Like we'll give you Gurley and Connor for CMC. It's like, no, don't
Right.
fall for that crap,
Please
because
don't.
I mean, it's just you're not gonna get when McCaffrey comes back. You're gonna at best Gurley and Connor. One might be healthy by then, the other will probably be hurt, and the other will be kind of just disappointing if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Just a scenario. Some will even offer you, like I say, like a Mixon for McCaffrey, in which case I still wouldn't take it, though, because I mean Mixon could bounce back, but there's no guarantee. I mean, McCaffrey's rolling right now. I don't care if it's even like Miles Sanders, Austin Eckler. I mean, those are more in the RB1 class, but I'd have to hold steady with CMC.
Right. No, absolutely. Please don't trade Christian McCaffrey to someone that's trying to lowball you. Just hang tight. He'll be fine.
Yes, indeed. He'll be back in another high high ankle sprain injury to a big name, Michael Thomas. Tough to see, because I thought he was like the safest pick of the first round. That was the whole point of
Picking a
that's the
wide
whole
receiver.
yeah. I
Yep.
thought that was the whole
Yep.
point of him being a first round pick, was the safety of that. And so if you took Michael Thomas first, your team's probably looking pretty rough right now, because your running backs and receivers now are hurting as a result. And that's why I didn't take him in any leagues, because while I wasn't saying not to take him in the first round, I feel like his ADP of it was usually like pick 4 or 5 overall. It was just too high.
Yeah. No, absolutely. If you pick somebody like him, you might be hurting with that all year. Honestly, I'm scared that this is going to be an injury that he's going to have to deal with all year, and it's going to hurt your team all year if you picked him first round.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and it's just an
Unless
uphill
you got
battle.
lucky. Unless you got lucky.
It's an uphill battle, yeah, unless you happen to scoop James Robinson up.
Yeah.
More on him
Yeah.
later on. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's just been rough. We're getting the injuries out of the way. After that, we'll kind of go over our breakouts and busts that we feel like have been that in that regard so far. So we'll keep the injury train going. As I don't really want to keep it going, but we have to. keep going forward. Devontae Adams and Julio Jones, more early round receivers with nagging hamstrings. That's the new another, and it's either it seems like a knee, ankle, hamstring. It's just these joints, ligaments are just and tendons. I have muscle. I'm no kinesiologist, but I know enough to know this is bad. I mean, and these guys dealing with these nagging injuries might not play this week. I mean, if I'm an owner of either of them, I'm probably just gonna have to hold tight. But
Yeah.
Devontae for sure. But if I'm a Julio owner, though, I'm really upset because I mean I spent a second rounder on this guy. Now he's got a hamstring problem, and then also Calvin Ridley's taking over. I mean,
although Julio is he's still fine. He's still getting his points.
I'm panicking a little bit on Julio.
he's still getting his points. He's still doing his thing. But Calvin is crushing it right now. I mean, unbelievable. We'll get to him later. But yeah, if you're I think if you're Julio or Devontae Adams owner, hang tight. You'll be fine. You'll be glad that you did. They're both going to have a really big season. I'm still not worried about either one of them when it comes to fantasy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And keep the receiver train going because it seems like receivers have actually gotten hit harder than running backs when it comes to injuries. Kenny Galladay, Cortland Sutton. Well, Sutton is done, torn ACL.
Yeah.
If you have him, that's it. But unfortunate there. I thought he could break out. Yeah, Kenny Galladay do another one with a nagging hamstring. Who should be back. I would guess hopefully. This week we're hoping.
Supposed to be.
Good matchup against the Cardinals. So yeah, I think if Galladay comes back, if you held him, keep starting him, I think he'll be good to go. I think they've been going easy on him with this injury, so he should be ready. And then also George Kittle, another big name, battling a knee injury, going to be out again here in week 3, but hopefully be back in week 4. I think they're sitting him because they're scared of that New York turf in which the 49ers, it seemed like half their team got injured last week when they were playing the Jets. Just a really awful day for them.
They said Garoppolo might also not play because of that. So keep an eye on that also.
I think was another one with a high ankle.
I don't know who's starting Garoppolo, but if
I would hope
2 quarterback leagues maybe, I don't know.
So there's gonna be Nick Mullins in there. Yeah, it's really rough for the 49ers. Mostert out for a few weeks. It looks like fire up Jerick McKinnon if you have him. Coleman's out too. Yep.
Of course, Debo's still out.
Right. It's just it's a mess.
Nick Bosa.
Yeah, Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas.
That whole Super Bowl dream, whatever you want to call it, the next year, man, it's rough for them.
Yeah, it's the Shanahan curse, man. The Falcons the year after they blew the Super Bowl, they sucked, and now the 49ers might be next.
Yeah, it's looking like it.
Gotta finish the job, Kyle Shanahan.
Absolutely. So we talked a lot about some injuries. I'm ready to get to the overperformers. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think that's that. We covered most of the big names.
So if you don't mind, I want to start this one off. The reason why I want to start overperformers off, and the reason why I have such a big smile on my face, is because I want to talk about one person in particular before I talk about anybody else, and that is Aaron freaking Jones. Guys, please tell me you didn't listen to people that were saying that he was going to be a huge bust this year, and that A.J. Dillon was going to come in and take all his reps, and he was going to have this big, huge regression this year. Guys, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but the guy is already not only the number 1 fantasy running back, but he's also the leading rusher in the league after 2 weeks. The guy is phenomenal. There's just nothing you can say about it. He is a top-tier running back in not only fantasy football, but in the NFL. He just is. He's that good. All right, so it is time that people start putting some respect on this man's name because so many people were fading this guy for so long in the drafts, and I just didn't understand it at all. The guy was the number 2 running back last year. They bring in a rookie. Cool, he looks good. He's got big legs. Whatever. Who cares, right? This is still his backfield, and he clearly has shown that in these first 2 weeks. Could we see more of a split in the second half of the season? Sure. Maybe they'll want to start experimenting with A.J. Dillon, especially in games that they're ahead. They might want to experiment a little bit more. He might lose a few touches here and there. This guy is still phenomenal. He's still so good. And barring any injuries, he's still going to be a top 5 running back this year.
Yep, that's what it's looking like, man. He's definitely on pace for that. And I got to say, I mean, I wouldn't down on him like a lot of people, but I also wasn't nearly as high on him as Josh. So I think I tipped my hat, man. That was a good take. That was a great take. I mean, it's looking like that so far through 2 weeks. We know a lot can change, though, but, I mean, he's done so well. I'd say that he's going to finish as an RB1 this year, barring injury. It's all right, all right. So you took your time to brag. I'm gonna take my time to brag.
Go
And
ahead.
see, I gotta say, man, that through 2 weeks, man, that Cliff Kingsbury air raid has looked
That's true.
legit. More importantly, the fact that Kyler Murray and DeAndre Nuke Hopkins have looked
Yep,
legit.
they have.
I mean, those two. I mean, that's why I was telling y'all this all season. I was like, look, Kyler didn't have a weapon like D Hop last year. Now that he does, he's gonna take his game to another level. And sure enough, that's been the case so far. And I mean, he did week one against a full strength 49ers. Last week against a Washington team that's decent on defense. This week he gets a really juicy matchup against the Lions. So I think it's uphill from here. I think with all the receiver injuries, I think there's a decent chance Nuke finishes as the #1 overall receiver. And Kyler, y'all can call me crazy, but I think there's a legitimate chance Kyler is the overall QB1. I think he could outpace Lamar and Mahomes.
It could happen, honestly. I mean, Dak's kind of creeping up there too. He had a huge week last week.
And Russ, I think is actually the #1 right now. Russell Wilson's been
honestly,
incredible.
this is looking like the year that Russ is going to win the MVP. I know it's early to say that, but he was my MVP pick before the season started, and he just looks like he's on a mission, right? And he's
he
killing
is.
it.
His defense hasn't even been that good, but he sure
right.
has.
But he went to Pete Carroll before the season started and said he wanted to let it rip. He wanted to let him go and do his thing, and he's letting him. And here we go. Now we're seeing full Russ just going crazy out there, and I really hope it stays like this all year. If it does, he'll for sure be the MVP. He probably will be the quarterback one. It'll be either him or Kyler. Probably it does look like it's going in that direction.
Yeah, I wouldn't count Lamar and Mahomes out just yet. I mean, it's only 2 weeks. I mean, they could easily get back in the mix. But yeah, I'd say that Kyler and Russ, though, I have a feeling one of those two is gonna do it this year, but we shall see. But yeah, I just wanted to take that little. Who else we have overperforming?
Well,
I'd say the whole Seahawks offense really Lockett and Metcalf, and then Josh Allen. Speaking of quarterbacks, Josh Allen's been another one that's been right up there as one of the elite fantasy options. I mean, and then with the Bills, he's been throwing a lot more this year with Diggs in town now. Diggs is overperformed. I mean, so yeah, and I'm glad because I took a lot of Josh Allen in drafts thinking that there was a decent chance. Would he like kill it? Maybe not, but he's gonna at least be a solid QB1. But so far, he's killed it.
He's killing it. Yeah, and that's the thing is, when we first started doing mock drafts, kind of beginning of the summer, he was getting drafted kind of in the 7th, 8th round, basically where Kyler and Dak and all them were going. He was being drafted in that area. But if you notice, towards the beginning of the season where you're doing your real drafts, by that time he wasn't going to the 11th, 12th round, which I thought was insane.
I know, man, he was slipping.
So as of right now, you got tremendous value with him. So you're kicking yourself if you picked a Pat Mahomes and a Lamar Jackson. I don't care where they finish. You kicking yourself right now because right now you're getting that same value from Josh Allen, but you got it way later after you picked your entire starting lineup, after you picked 3 or 4 bench spots. So that's he's killing it so far. I love to see it. Another guy I want to brag on is Kamara, Alvin Kamara. I mean, I know last year he struggled. He was hurt all year. It came out. He said he was playing injured, for half the season last year, and so many people wanted to fade him. Not a crazy amount, not the Aaron Jones type amount, right? You were still picking Kamara in number 6, number 7. Some people were picking him as high as 5, 4. He was my number 3 ranked running back coming off the board, and he's showing why right now. This guy, fully healthy, he's reminding us again how elite he is, especially at pass catching. I mean, this guy is incredible. It amazes me that guys like him and like CMC, that they're going to get the ball. They're going to get the ball out of the backfield, and you still can't stop him. And he has a nose for the end zone. He's hard to take down. A fully healthy Kamara is dangerous and a guaranteed top 5 running back. And right now he's showing it, and I love it.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's looked the part so far. I mean, with the Saints, kind of the Drew Brees. I mean, I try to be down on Drew, but when his arm strength kind of looking a little iffy there. I mean, Kamara, that's going to play into his favor. Kamara could catch 100 balls this year at the rate it's going.
It could.
So, yeah, he's locked and loaded, assuming he's healthy. And then, I'd say we touched on Ridley earlier. We touched on James Robinson. Those guys have both been incredible. Robinson, he already played this week and just went off once again.
Yep.
And then Ridley has been incredible, looking like almost like a better version of Juju, kind of like the way Juju had came on and
Juju's looked good.
Kind of took over for AB. Juju's held as far except
I'm
Ridley.
glad.
Ridley has looked like ridiculous, man. Ridley has looked like a top 5 receiver. So, and with all the injuries, I think there's a good chance he can finish here. Maybe not quite top 5, but definitely top 10.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I have seen a few people call him having a huge year this year.
Yeah, there were. I mean, I
But
wasn't quite as high on him as some.
me
Some were
neither.
saying he was
Me
going to be
neither.
like Chris Godwin, but which maybe he will be. And
Yeah.
because I mean, I didn't get him in a ton of leagues, but I got him in enough leagues to where I'm happy about it. I'm able to at least reap the benefits of him somewhat.
Yeah.
And then we can't, if we talk about breakouts, can't forget Jonathan Taylor. I mean, this
Absolutely.
guy is just. I mean, as much hype as Clyde Edwards-Helaire got, Taylor has looked. It looks like Taylor's looking
Incredible.
like he might be the best of that rookie class, and he was the one I was a little down on because I didn't like his situation. But Marlon Mack went down week 1, and once that happened, it was here we go, Jonathan
Yep.
Taylor time, and he has looked ridiculous and gets a mouth-watering matchup this week against the Jets. So,
Yep.
yeah, if you got Taylor, fire him up the rest of the
Yep.
way. Set it and
Absolutely.
forget it. This dude is a stud.
Yeah, I love Jonathan Taylor going into the year. I just didn't love where he was being drafted. He was creeping up the board so much to the point where he was going in the fifth, sixth round. By
Oh,
the
higher
time
than
the real
that. A lot of
draft.
times third,
Yeah,
fourth round.
yeah, and but I loved him as a talent. From the beginning, I thought he was the best running back in his class, and I thought he landed in a great situation. How much better of a situation you want to land in than a team that has a top tier line and a running back that's good but gets hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going to have your time to shine. Little did we know, it only took 1 week for it to happen, right? And now all of a sudden, if you have Jonathan Taylor, you're loving it. Especially, I mean, if you have him as a flex and you have 2 solid running backs up ahead, I mean, come on, man, you're killing it right now in the league or in a season where running backs are literally dropping like flies. You need all the help you can get at the running back position. So great for him. Good to see him shine already, and I think he's gonna literally, no pun intended, he's gonna run. He's gonna run away with this job. There's no more Marlon Mack. I hate to say it. I think he's a good talent. He gets hurt a lot. There's just no more Marlon Mack. It's Jonathan Taylor.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's done. He'll once his contract
Yeah.
ends after this year, he'll be gone. So yeah,
Yeah.
any dynasty owners that invested an early pick in Taylor, I mean, I was even saying like I wasn't all in with Taylor for redraft, but dynasty I was.
Of course.
And so yeah, he's legit. And so the last couple of players I'll mention, and I don't like doing this because I was not high on the Patriots this all season, but I tell you what, Cam Newton to Julian Edelman has looked like a lethal combination to start the season.
Yeah.
And I'm not like quite sold on it being this good the rest of the way, but I definitely think it's good enough to where they're both worth starting for now. Ride the wave while they're rolling good.
Call me crazy, but I think if Cam can stay healthy, I think it'll get better.
Better.
I mean,
I still don't trust that he can stay healthy. I'm willing to admit though that for now, if you have him ride the wave, but definitely look into trading him.
And that's what I'm saying. If he stays healthy, because he's going to continue to grow with Belichick, and the more he grows with Belichick, the more comfortable he gets.
Yeah.
He's gonna be better. But yeah, of course, you have to worry about injury. But I mean, he looks great right now. Like he looks fully healthy. He looks like he's back to having fun. And that's a dangerous Cam. It really
I know.
is.
Yeah, maybe he'll prove me wrong. I mean, we'll have to see here. But yeah, he's definitely. I had to give him his due here, though. He definitely is like a huge surprise. They definitely exceeded expectations. And yeah, before we get to week 3, let's go over. I know we went over the injuries. Let's go over a few that guys have just been kind of just blah this year. Just kind of just hadn't really lived up to expectations. And I tell y'all what, I'm just gonna vent about my Saints a little bit, man. Drew Brees and especially Emmanuel Sanders, man. Those two have just not been up to par so far. It's just been rough going.
No,
They both showed their age.
They've been bad. Let's just say it for what it is. Especially Emmanuel Sanders. He's been horrible. I'm so disappointed in Emmanuel Sanders. I do think it's going to change. We saw Sean Payton came out this week and said his touches are going to come. But it sucks, man. We've been waiting for this wide receiver 2 for years now. We finally have one, and we're not doing anything. Hit a cheap touchdown week 1. Who cares? He still had 2 catches in that week, and then he had 1 catch last week. It's horrible. It disappoints me so much that he's not. That we're not taking advantage of him.
Yeah, they make for good buy low candidates, so I will say that. Because I definitely feel like they kind of hit rock bottom last week. I don't think it's going to get worse. I mean, that Monday night game is just a total disaster. I feel like it gets better from there. But still, though, definitely, they're not like must starts, that's for sure. And then if we're going to pick on old quarterbacks, then I got to throw Tom Brady in there. Man, has Brady struggled so far this year. He had a great chance to shake back in week 2. but he didn't even take advantage of it. I know he didn't have Chris Godwin, but I mean, still, I mean, there's no excuse. You're facing the Panthers.
Right.
If I'm a Brady owner, if I was riding the clout and took him really high, I'm starting to get worried that he might truly be washed up.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate, but I'm not too surprised by it. I kind of did think that they were gonna have a slow start. I think it'll get better
Yeah, it
as
could,
as
especially if he
as
has Godwin and Evans
yeah,
healthy. Yeah, he's another one that
yeah.
you
It'll
could
get
buy
better.
low on.
It'll get better.
Yep, yep. So yeah, I would say yeah, Breeze and Brady. They look like they might be done right now, but we've written them off before when they've had some off weeks, and that's guess what? They come back,
Right.
So
Right.
I'm not ready to write them off yet, and let's see. Yeah, I mean Watson and Mahomes also kind of off to a little slow starts for their standards, but I'm not worried about them. Those two will
Yeah.
recover.
It's
Another
not all
running
Watson's
back.
fault,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
they've just Well, and
They
Mahomes
suck.
is just game script,
Right.
So
Right.
he'll when they get into more pass heavy games, he'll shake back. And then
Right.
Austin Eckler, we were both super high on him,
Yeah.
off to a rough start there, but he did show promise last week with Justin Herbert
He's
at
just not getting any
quarterback.
touchdowns, and
Yeah,
it's
but I
rough.
think with Herbert though, they moved the ball with Herbert. The
Yeah.
offense looked a lot more promising under Herbert, and so if that's the case, then I feel like Eckler will at least be able to retain low end RB1 production. If he can start finding the end zone, then he'll be back to where we drafted him as like a late first round pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little Well, I was very disappointed with his week one. I wasn't so disappointed with his week two, even though he got to that 18 pretty fast, and then he just stayed there, which kind of stinks. But we are expecting more from him. We're expecting the mid 20s, to high 20s on a weekly basis because he's that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that can go out there and get you 8 to 9 catches a week, possibly a touchdown, and get you 40, 50 rushing yards, 60 receiving yards. He's that kind of guy. I don't know what's happening right now. I haven't been watching their games specifically, so I'm not sure the game script or what's happening, what kind of plays they're calling for him. But I'm not that worried about him. I think he'll be fine, especially like you said, with old boy taking over. I do think he'll be better. So I'm gonna move on to. You talked about Deshaun Watson. I'm gonna move on to Brandon Cooks because
Oh, Cooks.
I'm not saying I was crazy high on Brandon Cooks, but I was a truther that I thought he would have been flex worthy because he's a deep threat, and Deshaun Watson has shown in the past with Will Fuller that he can be really good with deep threats. The problem is he had a DeAndre Hopkins on the other side of that deep threat, where now there's no D Hop, and now you have two deep threats running seams and trying to get these time developing routes, and there's no time to develop the routes because his offensive line is atrocious, one of the worst in the league, and he's literally snapping the ball and running for his life. So it's very unfortunate. It's not all Deshaun Watson or Brandon Cook's fault. It is what it is. It's a situation. They have a crappy owner slash head coach, and it's just going to be like that until they get rid of him, basically,
Yes, indeed.
or
Yes,
GM,
indeed.
whatever you want to call
Yeah, yeah.
him.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, yeah,
This dude's
gross.
garbage, man.
Yeah.
He has ruined that team. But anyway, well, next on that, I'll just say a couple of they're a receiver. I'll just a receiver that I can say kind of like I called it, and that's T.Y. Hilton. I'm really
Mhm.
glad I avoided T.Y. in all leagues just because man, he looks washed. Oh, Phillip Rivers too, man. They both. I mean, as good as Taylor's looked, I mean, it's kind of a concern that they might end up stacking boxes against him because other than Taylor, that Colts offense really doesn't look that intimidating. With
Right.
Rivers and Hilton both struggling mightily.
Yeah, I kind of figured Hilton would struggle a little bit with Philip Rivers back there. So I'm not too surprised with that one. It's just disappointing. I think Ty is really good, but nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
just
what it
they're
is.
both getting old, man, and it's kind of like the Breeze Sanders thing. They could pick up some, but I probably have a little more faith in Breeze than I do Phillip Rivers.
Right.
Rivers looked really done last year. I thought maybe going to the Colts though could rejuvenate him, but so far not very good.
Right.
And with their defense being good, he'll probably play the role of game manager most weeks anyway.
Yep.
So
Awesome.
So yeah, and then running backs. Couple more before we move on to week 3 that I've got to see. We're just these are two guys that have sucked so far, and honestly, I don't think they will turn it around. And that's Todd Gurley and of course Le'Veon Bell. Oh my gosh, Lev Bell,
God.
total garbage. Week 1. Guess what? He tweeted out. It's so funny. He had tweeted before the season because Gase was saying he was day to day with a hamstring, and Bell tweeted out. I'm pretty sure this was his exact quote. Ain't nothing wrong with my hamstring. And guess what? Week 1, he's out at halftime with a hamstring injury in which he proceeds to be placed on IR for. So which is it's the 3 week IR, not the season ending IR. But still, though, my point is that Lev Bell is not even close to being worth a high draft pick in fantasy yet. A lot of people have been in third, fourth round picks on him. Gurley hasn't been nearly that bad, but he definitely has shown he's been very inefficient.
Yep.
In which I mean, he's just not. It's not surprising. I thought he might get off to a hot start and at least give you a lot elite production early on, but I don't know. I'm starting to feel like Gurley's just a bust through and through.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of, well, obviously we stayed away from Le'Veon Bell. We told you guys to stay away from Le'Veon Bell. We hope that you stayed away from Le'Veon Bell. This is exactly why, not that we called injuries or anything, but
Right,
I mean,
right.
you
Yeah,
had to
even if he'd
expect
have been
that.
healthy, I think he'd have
He's not
struggled in
doing it.
that
He's not
Jets
doing anything.
graveyard offense.
Because
Yeah.
no one's rushing to. Who's even starting that running back for the Jets now? No one's rushing
Frank
to pick
Gore.
up. Yeah, no one's rushing to pick up Frank Gore. Even though, I mean, cool, maybe he'll get you a couple weeks where he'll have like 15 points. I don't know, but
Poor Jets.
no one
man.
cares. It's the Jets. They stink.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, I stayed away from him. I did also think he was going to have a little bit of a hot start, and I thought he was going to cool down and get injured.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
But he's actually starting off kind of mediocre, kind of bland. So, yeah, I'm pretty glad that I stayed away from him, honestly.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, so that was our early season rundown there of who was, injuries, hot starts, slow starts. And it'll be interesting to see when we look back on this. We'll probably do another rundown thing,
Yeah.
another 2 weeks or so, just to kind of see, and we'll see how much has changed from here to there. Probably be more than y'all think. So a lot of people think they got it all figured out, but we've been playing fantasy long enough to know things change. Yeah, exactly,
like that.
snap of a finger. So yeah, let's do week 3. Let's see. Yeah, let's get this ugly matchup over with. 49ers Giants. My goodness, I would say sit pretty much everybody here. I mean, it's Nick Mullins, Danny Dimes. Dimes has looked rough so far. It's
I wouldn't
another
mind
kind of
starting
tough
Dimes
matchup.
if you need to. I wouldn't mind
Yeah, it's
starting him.
super flex. He wouldn't be terrible, but yeah, I would say. And then stay away from that Giants backfield. They just picked up Devonta Freeman, but I would stay far away from that.
Okay, so what about Darius Slayton?
Yeah, Darius Slayton is somebody.
Sterling Shepard's out this week.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard. I feel like Darius Slayton with the 49ers hurting on defense. Darius Slayton is somebody that could actually be a flex with WR2 upside because he had a big week 1, struggled week 2, but I think he'll have a decent week this week. Golden Tate too could be okay, but I wouldn't trust him. Evan Ingram is a tight end I like, as well as Jordan Reed with George Kittle out.
Also, if you're struggling at the running back position with injuries and you need to start Dion Lewis, it wouldn't be a terrible start. If you have to start him in your flex, it wouldn't be crazy. He's going to get some catches. He might get a touchdown. It's not insane. I'm not saying go ahead and put him above a Nick Chubb or an Eckler, if you have those guys. But if you drafted Christian McCaffrey and, you have a Ronald Jones that you drafted where now you're scared about Leonard Fournette taking over and you have to start someone in your flex, Dion Lewis is not a crazy start. But yes, I agree with Darius Slayton. I say fire up Darius Slayton, honestly. And if you need to start Danny Dimes, you could do worse.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get another ugly matchup out the way. The Washington football team against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I'm not watching that game
at
all.
That's garbage, y'all. I say who might be decent. Like Scary Terry, fire up Scary Terry. Antonio Gibson is a flex, and then Logan Thomas is a deep league tight end. A lot of tight ends. I mean, with Kittle. I mean, and if he couldn't get Jordan Reed or them, Logan Thomas is getting a lot of targets. He hadn't done much with them so far, but one of these weeks he could pop off. And the Browns, I mean, we know they stink. So I mean, they got torched by the Bengals tight ends last week. So I think this presents a great opportunity for Logan Thomas to break out. And then for the Browns, sit Baker, I'd say. Sit Jarvis, too, with his hip bothering him. It's just kind of iffy. Sit Hooper. Hooper has not looked good at all in that offense. The only Browns I start would be Hunt, Chubb, and Odell.
I'm not going to completely agree with Jarvis. If he's ready to go and he's good,
yeah, I guess
flex him.
Yeah,
but
it's just not much upside.
If he's saying that if he comes out and says, he's not 100%, but he's going to play anyways, then yeah, sure, don't.
Yeah, he hadn't looked 100%.
But yes, definitely play Hunt and Chubb. Keep playing those guys.
I don't like Odell, but I mean, it's a solid matchup.
He's playing well right now. I know last week he had
he had that big play to salvage him. Yeah. Next, Bengals, Eagles. I'd say this is a good matchup for fantasy. I'd say fire up Joey Burrow. Fire up Carson Wentz if needed. I mean, Wentz is not someone I'm like clamoring to start, but he's somebody if needed this
If you
week. I
have
think
to
he'll
start
bounce
him, that's
back
rough.
this
That's
week.
rough.
I think he'll bounce back though. I really do.
Okay.
This is a juicy matchup. I mean, hell, Baker Mayfield did good against him. I mean,
Yep.
Wentz should do well as well. And Miles Sanders should have a huge week. Deshaun Jackson with Jalen Rieger out, another injury. Rieger, I think it was someone with his thumb torn UCL, I believe, out for a while. Deshaun Jackson could be a pretty good start, as well as Zach Ertz and Goddard. Can't forget about Goddard. He had a big week one, down week two, but I think he could have a pretty nice week three. And then as far as Bengals skill guys, Mixon, I think should bounce back somewhat. I could have put him on the
Hopefully.
disappointments list. He's sucked so far, and I'm not surprised. I wasn't high on him this offseason. And AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, I feel like both make for pretty good starts. And then another deep league tight end to keep an eye on, Drew Sample.
Oh yeah.
That's somebody that I was really high on my live stream this week. I wasn't. I mean, he's not somebody. I'm not saying he's like a stud or somebody. He's somebody who I think he could provide steady value.
Yep. I agree.
So okay, yeah, that matchup, yeah, I think it'd be pretty. That's a pretty, I'm gonna say straightforward, but it's one that I think's pretty like I think it's gonna provide pretty straightforward fantasy value. Neither defense is that intimidating. Next up is the Raiders Patriots. I would say this one is not a very inviting matchup for especially for Raiders players. Derek Carr, no Ruggs
only
this
Josh
week.
Jacobs, really.
Yeah, I was about to say only in Waller. Other than those two, I would sit all Raiders. It's basically a two-man offense for fantasy. And in Patriots, I would say James White is out, so I'd sit the whole backfield in New England. The only Patriots I fired up would be Cam, Edelman, and maybe N'Keal Harry as a flex.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. If you're struggling with injuries, sure, but definitely Cam and Edelman.
Yes, indeed. And then see Bears Falcons. Yeah, this could be a good if you're in a super
fire
flex.
Up Montgomery, boy.
I was like, oh yeah, definitely fire up Montgomery. I was saying super flex. You can maybe fire up Mitchell Trubisky.
He could even be on that overperformer. He's looked good. He's looked good this year so far.
Yeah, he has. He's done well. He should do well again this week against Atlanta. I would still say, I mean, in Allen Robinson, this is going to be a huge shakeback week for him.
Let's hope.
And then maybe Anthony Miller, too, maybe in deep leagues. Wouldn't really recommend him, but he could do something in deep leagues. I think Mitchell Trubisky in Superflex makes for a really good Superflex start this week, considering how bad Atlanta's looked. And then Atlanta, I mean, their passing attack's been really, really strong so far. Matt Ryan, we could have put on the overachievers list. He's looked the part. He's at home this week, so, I mean, he should do well. Julio, if he plays, playing, but it doesn't look good. So I'd say Russell Gage is a good start. And then, of course, Calvin Ridley and Hayden Hurst at tight end, I think, is worth it as well.
Now, lower your expectations on Calvin this week. Well, it's not fair.
Yeah.
If Julio's going to be out and he's going to be the number one, he's going against that Bears defense. You know, he could have a big week again. Just lower your expectations. Don't expect 20 points. You know, we'll see. Hopefully, but
yeah, but it's definitely still worth starting. And even Gurley, he kind of have to.
You have to start him.
Just because it's just the running back position being thin, of course. So let's see. Rams Bills. I would say this is another not very fantasy friendly matchup.
Not at all.
I just see the Rams backfield's a joke right now. Akers is out. Henderson, if you're in a pinch, could be worth it, but I wouldn't really trust him. Goff. The only Rams I'd probably still start Woods, Cup, and Higbee. I know the Bills are a pretty good defense, but they showed some chinks in their armor last week against Miami, especially to the tight end. I think Higbee could have another big week this week.
Yeah, I agree. Cup has kind of been Cup and Woods have both kind of been a little underperformance-ish for my liking of what I was hoping they would be, but I think they'll both be fine. But against the Bills, again, temper your expectations. We'll see.
Yeah, and then on the Bills side, Zach Moss out, so I would say
fire them all up, man.
Fire up Devin Singletary this week. He's been a disappointment, but I'd fire him up this week as well as Allen and Diggs. The one I would be tread cautiously though is John Brown. He picked up a midweek injury, and I don't think I really trust him this week. I don't think Allen's gonna have quite the field that he's had the first 2 weeks. So I was still Diggs should get his, but Brown I don't think I'd.
This one might depend on game script. Honestly.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be kind of a low-scoring game. So.
Yeah, and if it is, that's gonna be really sucky for all fantasy involved. But if it's not, we'll see.
Indeed.
I would still fire up all of them. I'd still fire up Josh Allen, John Brown, Stephon Diggs. You have to at this point. I mean, they're all playing out of their mind. You got to fire them up while they're hot. So I still would depending on what my team looks like, obviously.
Right. Yep. So here we go. Next up, Texans Steelers. This one looks,
So,
yeah, that's
this
like,
is
ooh, that's.
ugly for the Texans,
I know,
man.
man.
God,
Watson. I mean, I guess start him if you have him, but if you have like
I'm
another
not.
option, I would say I almost rather Big Ben over him because Big Ben is it's such a good matchup for him. But I still think Watson will be okay. I honestly wouldn't panic on Watson.
Maybe because they'll be down, he'll be throwing a lot. He might make
Yeah,
some
I mean the
plays, but
Steelers' defenses look good, but it hadn't looked
yeah,
like dominant. I mean, because Danny Dimes did okay against them. That Jeff Driscoll last week did a little something. It's not like Pittsburgh has just completely annihilated their opponents like they
yeah.
were doing last year. So I would still feel comfortable starting Watson in a lot of leagues. Just if you're in a shallow league though, and there you can go pick up like someone with a great matchup like a Big Ben or maybe even a Wentz, but. I don't know. I think I might still go with Watson just because I think he'll hold his own there. It's just. And then DJ, I'm concerned about, Josh. Would you start DJ this week against Pittsburgh? I don't know. That run defense has looked scary good. That's the one part of them that has looked
I
the part.
mean, you almost have to because of where you drafted him at,
Yeah, and it's the volume. He gets
and
so
the
much
volume.
volume. He got
So
100% of the snaps last week
and
at running back for
at any
them.
moment in any week, the guy can catch up to 10 passes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
especially they're behind. It might be just
yeah,
check
so
down, check down. Yeah.
you have to start him. I mean, it is
Yeah.
what it is. Like
Yeah.
you have to
I would
start him.
say
You
so. Yeah.
can't. Who are you gonna sit him for? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to start him
Yeah.
unless you're in an 18 league or something and you're completely stacked and you got Jonathan Taylor sitting on your bench. Then
Yeah.
yeah, sure. But most people, you're playing a 12-man league. You probably draft him as your RB2, or if you went running back heavy, you draft him as your flex. You almost have to, pretty much. So yes, I would still start him.
Indeed. Yeah, let's see the Steelers. I would say, yeah, fire up Juju and Deontay Johnson, y'all. Those two are
Yeah,
looking really good, almost like the way Juju and AB were in
yeah, they
2018.
look
Not that
good, man.
explosive,
They
but
look
they've
good.
looked pretty good though, especially Deontay. Man,
Better than what I thought. I'll admit that I was wrong. But both of them
That's
better than
one
what
I
I
could
thought.
gloat on. That's one I could have put in my surprises. Although I'm not really that surprised. I think Deontay
Yeah,
he's met my expectations. He's somebody I really like, and then the running Connor. I mean, if Connor stays healthy, fire him up, of course.
I'm good on
You
that.
wouldn't start Connor this week?
He dude's gonna get hurt again, man.
He's like afraid he's gonna get hurt in the middle
I'm
of the
so
game.
over that dude. Like I feel bad for him, I really do. But I'm just over. I don't have many leagues, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I'm over that. I'm over that
Yeah,
train. I'm
he
done
is
with it.
very injury prone, but if
Man,
healthy, he produces.
yeah,
And
cool. Like if he comes out, he'll have 30. Cool. Get excited. Put him in your line next week, and he'll be hurt again.
yeah, you got to
Like
handcuff him. But then the
yeah,
problem is
it
if
is
he
what
gets
it
hurt
is.
in the middle of the game, it's a lose because you're
Yep.
taking up a bench spot with Snell, and oh yeah,
Yep.
it's tough. And then tight ends, fade the tight ends here. Ebron hadn't looked very good. It's just not enough targets to go around. And the Texans, it's a committee with Akins and Darren Fells. Just we
Yep.
know Houston does not like the tight end. Oh yeah, and their receivers Fuller and Cooks. For me against the Steelers, fade, not touching Will Fuller or
Yeah, I'm
Brandon
good.
Cooks. All
Most
right.
likely, you have a better option, honestly.
Right,
So
yeah, for sure. Titans Vikings up next. I would say this is a pretty good matchup for the running backs. Derrick Henry, not Dalvin Cook. They should both do pretty well. Both
yeah, they'll
offenses
both
will
be
probably
solid.
be kind of just ground and pound. Probably be a low scoring game. Tannehill could be worth a start in a pinch, especially in super flex leagues. I'm not
He
like
did good last week,
yeah, he did,
man.
and then it actually is a good matchup. Minnesota has not looked good at all
No, they
through two
haven't.
weeks. They've looked like a disaster. So I would say Tannehill. Yeah, I don't think about it. Tannehill is worth it this week and
Fired up
needed.
Giannu Smith, man.
Yeah,
That
Johnu
man's looking
Smith.
good.
He really
Fire
has.
him
And with
up.
AJ Brown out again, yeah, fire up Johnu. I mean, Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, they've looked pretty good to start, but Johnu
Corey was a
honestly
little
is the
disappointing last week, but
yeah,
yeah,
I say John Woo is the one you can trust,
yeah.
especially considering he's a tight end. Well, Minnesota's in outside of Dalvin Cook. The only player I trust there to start will be Adam
No,
Thielen.
absolutely. I mean,
Even
yep.
he is a little, I don't. It's just not very
That man's been
enticing.
balling.
The offense is so bad. Jefferson
That's
had,
another one I could have put on here is Adam Thielen.
yeah, he had a
Y'all
big
was
week
all wanting to
one.
fade that man. He's
I
he's
still might
gonna be a
fade him. I mean, that
baller.
offense looks terrible, man. Kirk Cousins looks like a clown show out there, but we shall see. I mean, yeah, and the tight ends, Rudolph, Irv Smith, huge disappointments. Jefferson, that's fade the Vikings passing attack minus Thielen. Panthers, Chargers. All right, to kick off our afternoon slate of games. This one looks another one not very promising for the passers. Maybe Herbert though in a super flex. I
Oh
definitely
yeah,
wouldn't want Bridgewater.
Herbert looked good last week.
He did.
I'd be confident in starting him against the Panthers. The Panthers suck.
Yeah, they really
So,
do. They really
and
do.
now they got no CMC. They're not going to really be able to provide that much offense. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, Mike Davis, I think, is kind of.
good field position, honestly.
Yeah, Mike Davis, I mean, he's the CMC replacement. He'll be worth starting in most leagues just because he's going to get so much volume, but honestly, not a very
I don't know if I would, man.
appealing start. Just kind of,
Yeah, I think if you're in a big pinch, maybe, but I'm not a. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't want to start my. I'm good on that one. That Chargers defense has looked pretty good, especially in that front seven. They've looked pretty good.
Yeah, they really have, man. They really have. I would like it. I'd probably still start him, but yeah, I could see fading him to the Chargers. Yeah, Hunter Henry is someone I'd start. Uh,
Fire up Eckler.
Keenan Allen and Eckler, yeah, fire them up. Mike Williams and Joshua Kelly too, possibly in
If you
deeper
need to,
leagues because
yeah.
it seems like that the Panthers suck. Those guys could get there. As far as the Panthers themselves, outside of Mike Davis, DJ Moore, I'd say would be worth it. And other than that, I'd fade everybody else. Robbie Anderson off to a great start. Could have put him in the surprises
Yeah,
category, but
very much.
we know his act though. He disappears, and I think this will probably be one of his disappearing weeks. And then Ian Thomas, Curtis Samuel have been non-existent so far. So yeah, fade the Panthers.
Yep.
All right, Jets, Colts. Not sure why this game's at 3 o'clock, but here we go. Well,
You're not gonna be waiting on that game.
oh yeah, I'm waiting to see how many yards Jonathan Taylor gets.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
fire him up.
Oh
Goodness
my
gracious.
goodness.
Even fire up Ty. Honestly,
Yeah, this
he
if
might
Ty
have a
doesn't
big week
shake
this
back
week.
this week, he never will.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awful. And then tight end looks like Jack Doyle's out. So Mo Alley Cox, if you're in a pinch, I mean he's somebody that he did well last week. It's another good matchup this week, so take advantage of that if you're in a tight end hole. So yeah, and then the Jets next. I'll just say next on that and not even waste y'all's time.
Just sit 'em,
Sit the
bro.
damn Jets. Adam Gase size, my husband's an idiot. All right, so Cowboys,
Jesus, man.
Seahawks up next. Let's see,
A
Dak
lot of fires
Prescott,
up. A
Russell
lot of fire ups in this
Wilson,
one.
Chris Carson, Zeke,
All of them.
Cooper,
Everybody.
Lockett, Gallup, Lamb. I could go on and
Everybody.
on.
Fire them all up.
Metcalf, if I got Metcalf,
Chris Carson.
oh
All
my
everybody.
gosh, yeah,
Everybody.
fire them all up,
This is
y'all.
this
Keep it simple.
This
Fire
might
them
be
up.
the highest scoring game of the week. So fire everybody up. Don't play none of their defenses.
Yeah.
Fire everybody up. And
Yeah,
just
that's
go.
one I'm looking forward to at 325. That should be a good
That should have been a
one.
night game. But
I know,
anyway.
right? Yeah, and let's see. Yep, and then a couple more here now. The new Lions, Cardinals. That's another good one for fantasy. Both good, pretty good offenses, bad defenses. And if I, of course, fire up Kyler, Newt,
All of them.
Kenyon Drake,
Christian Kirk,
Christian
too.
Kirk's out.
That's true.
Honestly,
That's true.
though, I
Yeah.
would say
So never mind.
nope. I mean, well, definitely nope. He's
Yeah.
out. Larry Fitzgerald could be a
He
good
could.
flyer, in a deep two flex league type
Mhm.
thing. And then the Lions, Matt Stafford could be worth
And
it in
Kenny G.
super flex. Man, with Kenny G back, Stafford could have a nice resurgence this week. And then Kenny G back, Marvin Jones should be okay. T.J. Hawkinson, he's looked pretty good so far. Fire up the Hawk if you have him.
Yep.
And their running game still kind of an ugly committee. Swift could be worth it in PPR, but other than that, they sit AP and carry on. Those two are just they cancel each other out. I feel like. So yeah, there's no comment.
I mean, I was waiting for you to go to the next one.
It's that sucky to where Josh just he's out. I don't even want to go there. Okay,
Yeah,
Bucks
I mean,
Broncos.
I got
We'll
nothing to
move
say about
on.
that
Yeah,
one.
oh man, that's an ugly matchup, man. I gotta see. I mean, as a Fournette, if you have him, is worth starting. Melvin
Yeah.
Gordon worth starting.
Starting Fournette because even if he's kind of inconsistent for the next couple of weeks, he's trending towards he's about to take that job away from Ronald Jones. Starting.
Exactly. And then with Brady aging, he'll probably be more leaning on the run. And so, yeah. And then, of course, Evans and Godwin are too good to sit. Godwin will be back. But, yeah, poor Broncos. I mean, Gordon,
Gordon,
you got to start with Phillip Lindsay out. And then with no Sutton, Jerry Jeudy could be worth it.
Yeah, it's so risky though, man.
Yeah, because then you got KJ Hamler showed signs of life, picked him up in some leagues, and here's one, and Noah Fant. I'd feel comfortable starting Noah Fant this week. He has looked really good this year.
He's looked like a monster.
He has, man. That's what I say. Denver. I wouldn't count Denver out just yet. I mean, Driscoll held his own against Pittsburgh. I mean, he honestly looked better than Drew Lock. I mean, Drew Lock business. Yeah, he did not look good at all to start, but we'll see what happens when he comes back. But yeah, I'd say right now Jeudy. Maybe Hamler in a super deep league. But yeah, definitely Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, and then Tampa's in. Please don't do Gronk. I mean, I would hope everyone's
God.
smart enough by now to have dropped
Start
them all.
OJ Howard before you start Gronk.
Don't start
please.
any of them.
I mean,
I'd
yeah, I
say.
wouldn't
That's
either. But if you're
garbage.
gonna start one of them, get OJ Howard.
And
But
then all
fire
the
up
ones,
Mike Evans.
and I gotta admit, I whiffed on one last week. Scotty Miller, I was saying to fire up with
I don't even
Godwin
want to talk
out,
about that. I don't
but
know.
man, that deal was a disaster. It's
No,
just
because
too
he's
many
gonna go
mouths
off
to
this week. He's
feed.
gonna put up 20 points this week. Watch. Mark my words. Watch.
The Godwin's back.
Because but he had a good week one because Godwin was. I'm telling you, because everyone's gonna sit him this week. He's gonna watch. He's gonna put up at least 50. I'm telling you.
Okay, that's one we'll have to just agree to disagree on.
Yeah,
I dropped him.
I'm not starting him.
Yeah, I dropped him in a lot of leagues, but and he's gonna really tick me off
too.
if he comes back and does. I'm like, damn it, why'd I cut him? I guess
that's what's gonna happen. I'm telling you. Watch.
Yep, we shall see. Yep.
But frustrating,
no, that's for sure.
Mike Evans.
Yeah, no doubt. And the primetime Packers Saints, man, this was looking to be a great matchup, and it's now looking very bleh with all the injuries. I mean, more specifically, Devontae Adams and Michael Thomas looking both like they're out. Well, they already ruled Thomas out. Adams doubtful. So yeah, not looking good there for Rodgers or Breeze. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, the Saints defense looked really bad last week, so I could see still starting him. But
fire up Aaron Jones and Kamara.
Without Thomas, though, I wouldn't feel too confident. And then Breeze after last week, I wouldn't feel comfortable with. So, yeah, obviously, Kamara, Aaron Jones.
Just fire
up the running backs, and then, honestly, that's it. Those are the only must starts. I mean,
I'd be okay starting Jared Cook.
Yeah, I could start Jared Cook, and then it with no Adams, maybe MVS or Lazard, but still, though, I just...
Yeah.
It's not very appealing, man. So
and then the big game, boy.
Ooh, this one's gonna be good. Monday night. Finally, a good Monday night game. Good to see Chiefs Ravens. I mean, of course, we know the drill. Fire up Patty Mahomes. Fire up CH. Fire up Tyreek. Fire up Kelsey. I don't care if it's the Ravens in Baltimore. I know they're a great defense, but guess what? It's Patrick Mahomes. It's a Super Bowl MVP. I get it. He's off to kind of a slow start.
And this game was high scoring last year. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, if this dude is just if you sit Patrick Mahomes this week because he's playing the Ravens, you will regret it. I mean, I'm just gonna come out and say it. So if you have the Ravens defense, please sit there.
I mean, I would maybe be okay with sitting Clyde. That'd be the only one I would think about. I still wouldn't sit him. I'm just saying, if you had to sit somebody, that's the only one I would even think about sitting, but I still wouldn't sit him because of where you took him at. You took him in the first round, so you have to play him. But he might be the only one that might not have that good of a week this year. So temper your expectations. But for all the Ravens, fire them all up. Hollywood, Lamar, Mark Andrews, Mark Ingram.
The backfield's a little tricky. I don't think I'd fire up Dobbins this week.
Yeah, maybe temper on Dobbins.
He was one that everyone was drinking the Kool-Aid, but last week
second half of the season.
Gus Edwards kind of got a roll there, so I would say I'd fire up Ingram this week.
Keep an eye on second half of the season.
But that's shaping up to be like a three-headed committee. And Dobbins should do better as the year goes on. But
But right now, you can't start him unless you're destroyed with injuries right now.
Right, and then of course, fire up Lamar, but don't start anybody outside of Hollywood and Andrews. Still a low volume passing attack. So that wraps it up for week 3. Should be fun, and we'll see how the next few weeks go. Gonna try to get back to doing these weekly episodes. So hoping to be back next week. And we'll see how week 3 ended up, and hopefully not more injuries occurred than what occurred in week 2.
We'll see.
Come on, if there's that's gonna. Let's just fingers crossed. I'm just trying to be optimistic, So there will not be more injuries in week 3 than week 2. Let's just be positive. So, all right, Guru Nation. Really appreciate everyone that tuned in. Good luck this week and the rest of the season. Catch y'all later.